Hello,
Hello.
Jess. We like to do everything in unison. We
Yeah.
are Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Welcome to the pod. I wanted to have you on here because I have been a follower of yours for a really long time. And I just admire the way that you do content because you actually do your research. And I connected to a lot of the things, and you reminded me of some of the things that I forgot about through like scrolling through. And I was like, this is amazing. We need to have you on here and talk about all things like emo, all things scene culture, some like crazy scandals that happened in the 2000s, and bring Mishka along.
I'll be
I'm here.
here. Yeah, Imperium's really the one who kind of like has all of the memories, like the core memories locked in from that time period, especially for the emo scene world. I was like the gay pop girly that was like on the fringes of the community. I had my straightened bangs and I had blue dyed hair. So yeah, I was definitely a poser, but I'm embracing that. So
What? Well, it sounds like you're on the fringe. But you had a fringe, so you know you were there. That's all.
I
We were
was
all.
yeah, I get at least a couple points for the fringe, right? So, but yeah, no, I'm really excited to like jump in because this is a world that I'm familiar with, but not educated on really in any way. So I'm excited.
Okay.
I mostly want to know about your lore, like how you started your account and decided that you were going to make this type of content.
January of 2020 and the pandemic and like everything kind of sucked in the world. And so I was just sort of going back into the things I used to like. And I was like using like the Wayback Machine to just like continuously like read up on the old stuff I used to love. And I made a couple videos and like people liked them and I just kept making them and it like distracted me from the pandemic a little bit. So that's how it started anyways.
Okay, so your account was I guess not recent, we're in 2025. In my brain it's still like 2022.
Same. I'm still there.
You know, like time is an illusion. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. So you got your start in the pandemic. What were some of the first videos that you decided to make, or the first videos that really went viral?
Oh man, a lot of them were like about Lita Monster Bunny and like I think like Warped Tour fashion and like Tumblr stuff I started talking about. And then I had like a full series about Pete Wentz and then like I don't know, it just started going from there because one of the guys, so I made a video about Pete Wentz and Hey Chris, and then Hey Chris saw it and like his whole fan base tried to troll me. They pretended like he was dead. It was a whole thing. It really was.
Wait, what?
They pretended he was
Hold
dead.
on.
Yeah, so like he like does this thing. Like I guess he has this bit where it's like, "Hey, Chris is dead." And if you're not familiar with Hey Chris, he's like, if you know Fall Out Boy, they have this song and it's like, "Hey Chris, you are our only friend." And like he was
Yeah.
like really involved in the scene. Like he was hanging out with Mikey Way, he was hanging out with Pete Wentz, he was like the big guy at the time, and he had a live journal blog. And so I started talking about him, and he's like kind of fallen off. Like he really isn't super famous anymore. So I think I brought him up for the first time in forever, and he was kind of pissed that I brought him up. So he had like his fan base just continuously comment and be like, "Why are you talking about him? He died. That's so irrespectful." Like they were like going on and on. And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I'm like looking it up and I can't find anything. And then I eventually find his Instagram where he posted like a picture and it was like, "Hey, Chris is dead. Stop bringing up the past." And like it took a minute. And then some girl made a video like, "Hey, we're just trolling you." And that's when I was kind of like, "Oh my God, I'm reaching the people I'm talking about are seeing my stuff." So I kept making.
That's like a crazy story, actually, though.
And the way that I've had crazier ones, but that's just how it started. And I was like, "Oh my God, my idols know I exist," and then I just kept making videos.
It's definitely a super weird feeling. Okay, so on the spectrum of hey, Chris is dead, what is on the other side of the crazy story spectrum that you have?
Well, I've had some really cool things. Like I became friends with members of Kurt from Dance Gavin Dance, or like I like Hector from Metro Station, and like every scene queen for the most part, besides Lita Monster Bunny and Audrey Kitching, every scene queen that I idolized, if I made a video on them, they probably reached out to me and I got to know them, and like I got to learn so much lore, stuff that I can't even like really speak about because they were like, "Keep this quiet," but like and
Oh
I've
my
gotten
god.
I've
Oh.
I'm finding drama too with like the weirdest thing is like some of them have like started stuff with me and made it kind of public, and it's like I'm feuding with my childhood heroes. Like it's pretty cool.
Wait, you've been in internet fights with these people?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Not
But,
like fights, but like okay, oh my gosh. Who? Who? Or you don't have to name names, I guess, but like
well, I don't even know if I want to talk about it, but there was one scene queen. And like I think if you know, like she hung out with Audrey Kitching a lot, and I'll just kind of put it at that. But like, okay, so I made a video about her, and I didn't know that she was a follower, and she followed me, and she knew I was making a video. So the first time I followed her on Instagram, she messaged me, and she's like, "Oh my God, are you stalking me for a video?" Like she was really excited, and I was in the process of making the video. So I was like, "Yeah, hey, do you want to check out this video?" And she was like, "I love it. It looks great." So I posted it. And then the next day, she posted the video onto some Facebook page, and everybody was like, "Who are you? We don't know who you are." Like it was a bunch of kids. And so she got really upset, and then she started telling me to take the video down, and it was doing really good. So I was like, "You approved it. Why am I taking this video down?" And then she started harassing me, and like it got to the point like she had like her friends like spam commenting on my stuff. She started messaging all of my followers and saying like the Emo Chronicles is keeping my video up without my permission. Like it was like she was
what?
It was
Oh my God.
full blown. Like I was like, what is happening? And like I idolized this girl when I was younger. So and then like later on, she like wanted to be friends with me, and then she didn't. And like she's kind of just like started it. Like every once in a while, she'll appear in my PMs and be nice to me, and then she'll I don't know. It's a whole thing. It was an experience.
I'll
And that's
I'll
so
cut this
funny.
out. But was it Beth?
No.
Okay. When
Well,
you
not
said
her.
she was friends with Audrey Kitching, I was like, Hannah Beth?
The way that I'm like not saying it, but it's like Trashy Life. If you know Trashy Life at all, there were 2 people in it.
I'm not familiar.
No,
Okay.
I can't recall, but
All right. Well, I guess without like saying it, so like I know, but like if she sees this, she'll know, and she knows. We've talked about it, but I think we're on good terms now.
that's
But
fine. We
this
don't have to name names. Yeah, I don't want to get you in more trouble.
Yeah.
I just like I can't believe it. That's just so fucking insane.
I will say, like, as someone, like, I know Audrey Kitching, obviously, but, like, as someone who's feels a little bit on the outside, I'd live it for that story. That was an amazing story. Thank you. Already, off the top. Starting off strong.
Well, it was like, okay, so it was, the scene kids were drama filled. There was so much drama in it. So, of course, like, I start bringing them up, and then I get sucked into the drama. And it's like, it's actually funny because if you Google any of these scene queens now, you'll see a picture of me talking about them. Like, that's kind of like, they're not really famous anymore, but to me, they're everything. So, like, I'm the one that's still talking about them. But a lot of the stuff's been removed from the internet. But yeah, it was really drama filled. Like, it was a juicy time period.
You're keeping all of these like legacies alive, like immortalizing them with your content and your takes on it, which I fucking love.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
I think one of the first ones I saw was the Brendon, Urie, and Ryan Ross drama.
Yes.
Because
canceled if
we don't have to get into it because you've already made a video about it. So
I'm down. We can get into it.
well, in that case,
You guys, like, people go hard over that.
Oh my gosh. I'm
And
here for it.
Mishka has no idea, and I didn't know at the time that he was like not catfished, but like led astray, and then he was like, fuck this, I'm out. I knew about he wanted to make more Beatles stuff with Pretty Odd, and Brendon was like, no, we gotta stay with the pop shit. But the rest of it, I was like, what?
Yeah, when I watched that, I was like, oh, I literally had no clue this was a thing.
Well, it's really weird because I have this theory when it comes to people who get too famous. You can get too famous. And like kind of like the way that the scene was, we idolized bands. I feel like the way the Beatles, like we just like are so obsessed with them. Like, so they're all or everything. Like if they do one thing wrong, suddenly they're this terrible person. And like you just see it so much. Like somebody gets too famous or like a wife of somebody, whatever, and then people really attack them. And they start like honing in on like tiny little things like, oh, this person said this one thing one time, and then they don't talk about how they apologized or it was a mistake or it was 20 years ago. Like stuff will be taken out of context. And Brendon Urie is one of those guys that like people just like you hear Brendon Urie and people go, he's a bad person. And then why? Then they start listing off all these things. But if you do the research, it's like he never really did anything wrong. And I don't know. But people have really hot takes on that.
I can imagine. I was looking, when I saw that video, I went through the comment section and it was fire. It was on fire.
Yeah.
That brings me to like a question that's kind of connected here a little bit. So I noticed immediately, so yes, I went through and I scrolled through all of your content just to kind of make sure, I was up to date. And the one thing I've noticed is that like you really do have like a positive way of kind of going over the stories that you're talking about. You're not necessarily talking about them in that frame of like, oh, it's juicy gossip kind of a thing, which I kind of like felt it was refreshing, because normally you see these gossip TikTokers or what have you, the spill channel, and they're all just about like the hot tea of it all. But you're actually like diving in a little bit, and you've got the tea, but then at the same time, you've got some biscuits on the side to give us as well, which is really nice. But I wanted to ask, so like, obviously we know misogyny and hate is like alive and well, especially on the internet in today's climate. So I wanted to ask, like, do you encounter a lot of that negative energy in your comment sections and things like that? And like, how do you like rise above it and not be bothered by it?
Oh my God, yeah. Well, don't get me started about Instagram. I don't read the comments on Instagram because people are weird there. But on TikTok, I would say a lot of people are very positive. But if I talk about a subject that they don't like, it's like suddenly I'm the bad person. Like, people have made hate vlogs about me, which I love. But like,
You've gotten too famous, Jess. You've gotten too famous.
Not at all, not at all. But like, there's hate blogs about me, and like, I don't know. It's funny to me, and there's people like, if you look up the Emo Chronicles, like you'll see a lot of videos of people like actually being like, she's terrible because she likes Brendon Urie. Like, it's that kind of stuff. I just kind of know, like, in my core, like, I think to myself, like, cancel culture is kind of dumb, and I don't think somebody is inherently a bad person because of something they did 20 years ago. Everything I'm talking about is like 20 years old, right? Like, it's like I'm rehashing really old tea from when these people were very young. And it's not like I'm talking about my own personal stuff. I have like, people will comment and like on my appearance or my weight or that, like, I don't, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't care about that. A lot of the time I block people. Sometimes I will be like in a weird mood and I will just like respond to them, and I'll just like write out this entire thing, and then I hit enter, and then I just block them immediately. So they don't even see the comment. It's just like, but yeah, I mean, it's the internet. Like, people are gonna hate. Like, it's a whole thing. I just don't let it get to you type thing.
Do you find there's a difference between getting hate on TikTok and getting hate on Instagram? And do you notice, it's hard because a lot of them are just anime profile pictures, but do you notice it's more skewed towards men hating you? Or
I don't know. Like, on Instagram, the comments will be like, this is old news. Why are you posting it? I already knew that. And it's like, okay, yeah, but that's why I'm posting it as a memory. Whereas like TikTok, everybody's like, I love this memory. It's a different, there's such different apps. I don't know who's even what they are, because like you said, it's the anime profile picture with the random name, and they've posted no like content. So
Right. It's pretty easy to like overlook hate from someone who's just like a blank profile. So,
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So obviously Imperium is giving us a pixelated view right now, but some beautiful scene hair. And I mentioned my fringe earlier. But I'm just curious, do you have a favorite like scene hairstyle that you had throughout the years?
Yeah, like pink or red hair. Oh man, my favorites were like, I loved Audrey Kitching and I loved Lita, and I feel like I was always trying to replicate their hair back in the day. I want it to come back. We need to bring scene hair back.
Well, I saw your TikTok talking about scene hair, and as soon as you said it was all extensions, I was like, I know that girl. I know her. Oh gosh, it really was an iconic time for fashion, in the sense that, like, you know how, just because I'm the pop side of the two of us, you know how we're kind of going through this weird hyper pop kind of reinvention with like Charlie XCX and a bunch of other artists. It's kind of like the scene fashion was that as maximalist as possible, right? As many bows, as many ribbons, as many bright colors, as many cute little anime figurines on keychains, like with your Tamagotchi and everything like that. So that to me is so interesting that like we're kind of seeing a similar movement with the music side of it as well, obviously in the pop world. But yeah, just an interesting observation I made when you were talking about the scene hair.
Well, no, you know what's really interesting? Like kids, like so like there are emo scene kids at schools now. Like I feel like that went away for a little bit, but now they're almost like kind of cosplaying. Like they try to they go
Yes.
thrifting and they go online to buy the clothes we used to do, but like it's their whole persona. Like there's actual scene kids at schools again. There's like a resurgence of it.
I've seen the TikToks, and like they are like to quote you, biblically accurate scene things.
Yes.
It looks like a freeze frame in time. I'm like, oh my god, that was in the 2000s, and it's like, no, that's current day.
I'm so here for it. Yeah, bring it more. I want to see that. I don't want it to die. But we unfortunately are just like the way we looked at like people in the 80s. That's what we are. We were like people in the 80s with straight hair. It's kind of the only difference.
It's true.
Yeah.
Straightened fringe hair instead of the big like permed styles and the big volume.
It's like caricatures of generations. I often like think what makes scene fashion so iconic and to stand the tests of time, because it's not like e-girl fashion or being an e-girl, like it's not fallen victim to the fleeting trends of TikTok. So I'm wanted to ask you, like, what elements of that do you think makes it so perfect? In
What
my
makes it have
opinion.
longevity?
Yeah, no.
Longevity, yeah.
You know what it is? And this is a theory. I can't like seriously talk about this, but I think it's the internet, because I think that scene kids were the first influencers. Like MySpace was like the first really big social media, Live Journal, Xanga, all of those. I don't even know how to say it. Xanga, all of those websites, and you know, like I pronounce everything wrong, so I have to clarify. But
It's fine.
but no, so like that was like the look. Like that was like, okay, early 2000s, like that's the influencer of the time. So I think the fact that they were influencers, and it wasn't like, and it lasted for maybe 10 years. Like it lasted quite a while, if not longer. I think maybe that's what it was. Like that if you went online, you would find those images and people are so used to seeing it. Whereas like e-girl was sort of a resurgence of that in a way, but like it was a trend, as like indie and boho and hipster, all of those things were like trends. But it's almost a lifestyle too. Like it was a whole thing.
Yeah, I was a small town emo, and like my mom was accepting of a lot of things, but she did draw the line very frequently. So I was allowed to show expression through my clothing and makeup to a certain level. So I never got that full experience, and that probably explains why I am the way that I am now. But I remember being a small town emo, I guess, and like going to take pictures in the playground and literally like through the fence. And when it snowed, like camera here. I had what was it? I had a tagged account. I had a Vampire Freaks, even though I did not belong on Vampire Freaks whatsoever.
Yeah,
I just
whatever.
wanted to go and stalk all of the other people. And then I had Tumblr, and it was amazing to see the scene kind of transition from the MySpace to Tumblr. And then into like the indie boho. It was like a weird pipeline that followed.
Yeah, the Tumblr era of social media was special in the same way that the MySpace era was. And I feel like our platforms now, as much as we're like connected and everything, they just don't hit the same.
They
Do you know what I
don't.
mean?
I do. I love TikTok. Pinterest is up there now. Pinterest is getting better. But yes, they don't hit the same. Tumblr and MySpace, oh my God, they were everything.
Yeah, just didn't Instagram recently introduce a feature where you can like put a song to your profile or something like that? So if somebody goes on it, it starts playing like the old MySpace page.
On are you talking about the status? You can set like 30 seconds of a song as your status.
Maybe I'm not I'm bad at Instagram, to be honest with you.
And also you can add it to the pictures. So every picture you post, you can have music in the background, which I think that's a cool feature.
It's a cool feature. It immediately calls back to like the MySpace page where you'd go on and it would like you'd be assaulted with flashing graphics and glitter. Like the GIF glitter that would just repeat over and over. Yeah. And you'd just be assaulted by like a Blink-182 song or an MCR song.
Yes. That's how I loved.
I remember
I found all my music there. Sorry, I did not mean to talk over you.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I was just gonna say that I remember specifically learning HTML for my Tumblr
Yes.
blog. Do you think I could do that now? Absolutely not.
No, but the fact that you were resourceful enough at 14 to figure that out, like the kids today could never. They could never.
They could never. They got it so easy. They just post a video, edit it in their app, and hit enter. We were coding. There was a lot to it.
Video editing back in the day, for anyone who's not familiar who's listening, it was not an easy task. Like, all these YouTubers today could not have done it, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Windows Movie Maker for letting me make my animated music videos, and shout out to all of the anime clips that I pirated so that I could make the animated music videos.
Yes, the AMVs. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so good.
I have a Tumblr related question, but it could be for any of them. What really old, or not really old, I guess it is old because it doesn't matter. What older fashion trends would you like to see come back?
I mean, the side part, I love the side part and I don't see it enough. I would love to, skinny jeans are kind of coming back. And I really, really love, the grunge makeup that we had on Tumblr. I loved that era, the Kesha era where there was, glitter everywhere and, you had, ripped tight. Yeah, I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dirty. You've been in a hole in a wall partying all night, and now you're trying to walk down Fifth to get back to your hotel, and it's just rough. But you don't even. It doesn't matter because life is good.
Yeah, yes, and that's it. Wash your mouth with a bottle of Jaeger or whatever Kesha says. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my god.
I was gonna ask you, what was your Tumblr blog niche if you had one? Mine was pastel grunge.
Yes. So good. So good. Well, I did a series on that actually where I went back and I went through every single year because I definitely had a couple years of pastel grunge, but it changed. You know what I mean? If you actually go to your Tumblr, you go to your page and then you type /archive, you can go back every year and every month and see your previous posts, and they're sort of just in front of you, a lot easier than looking at your profile, and it's so cool to go back. It's like a time capsule.
Oh my god, I didn't even know that was a thing.
And neither did I. I deleted all of my Tumblr stuff when the big purge happened. And I think it was 2017 or something like that. I was just like, okay, bye. And deleted everything. And I kind of regret it. I kind of regret it a little bit.
Oh, man. Yeah, I regret it for you. So, everything is there. You can go back and see the posts that you made at 3 a.m. when you had a crush on somebody. I don't know if you did that, but
yes.
Very pathetic.
The notes. I was trolling the notes. I was in there going through. Yeah, no, it was so much fun. It was such a fun time.
I specifically remember my blog wasn't even good, even though I tried coding and I had a niche and everything. Do you remember the follow trains on Tumblr?
Yes.
Oh, yes. I was also on MySpace. Yes.
Oh, yeah, true. I guess that's probably where they originated from.
Imperium talked about her. Imperium talked about her Tumblr aesthetic. Mine, if I can I share? Yes, I can.
I'm excited.
I'm so excited. I don't even know what it is.
Okay, so my aesthetic very, very easily fell into the Frutiger Metro here.
Ooh, what?
Oh my god.
It's tiny, but what? I don't think I was ever on this side of Tumblr.
It was
this is Just Dance.
It's giving Just Dance 2017.
It's giving Just Dance, yes.
But yeah, no, that was my aesthetic for the majority of my Tumblr days. And it was like a Disney Channel kid, but decided to add glitter and explode a little bit.
I love it. Okay, bring up Disney Channel. Have you looked back at the Disney kids from the Sweet House of Life and Cody? I can't even. The Sweet House of
The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. The
Sweet Life.
Yeah, all the girls on it had seen haircuts. Hannah Montana, all of them had seen haircuts.
Selena Gomez always had the helmet with the side part, always, for the longest time. And so did Demi Lovato when she popped off with Camp Rock. That was totally the look, but it was toned down slightly.
But she was in the scene. Like, she listened to all of the scene music. She was hanging out with Hannah Beth and all the scene queens, like partying with them.
Right.
Yeah,
right. I think you talked about it
all
on a few of your
connected.
TikToks that they were like in party scenes together and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I can't.
Can you
I
explain
wish.
what you refer to as the Lita effect?
Oh God. Okay. Lita Monster Bunny. For those who don't know, Lita Monster Bunny was a very famous scene kid, and she wasn't like first ever scene. She was very inspired by Audrey Kitching, but she came after the fact, and she just was herself. Like, she had a very distinct style. Like, if she wore a certain shirt, that shirt became the style. Everybody was obsessed with her, and I think it's because she was a MySpace scene kid who went onto YouTube, and then she just made like regular YouTube videos, but she still had that really, like, she talked about her hair and her makeup and that kind of stuff. So people idolized her. And there were these Tumblr blogs where people would write Lita confessions, and they're still active to this day, which is crazy, where people would like confess their feelings for her. And like people were very obsessed with her. So anyways, that goes into people copying her to a T, where they would steal her mannerisms, they would steal her hair, they would dress exactly like her, they would take photos almost identically to her. And a couple people did that and got really famous. And then people look at them and think that, oh, like they're this big scene kid, but all they were was just copying. And I'm not going to say the person's name because that was one of the first things I learned, was that she will try to sue you because she tried to sue me when I talked about her. So I had to delete all of the videos where I said her name. But if you know, you know. Like, it's such a tea. Like, she actually copied everything, pictures identically. It's bizarre. And like the dialect of her voice and the way she talked and the way she acted, it was interesting.
Well, I did watch, and this probably is not the same person, but you had a TikTok where you were talking about a girl whose name I cannot remember, but that she turned out to be like an actor.
Foxy.
Foxy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was all news to me. I was like, what the fuck? Like, who? Why?
I know. She was so like, everybody's like, Foxy's the scene kid. And it was just a girl. She was almost like making fun of scene kids making that video. But then she went on to be the queen of B. Like, everyone on 4chan idolized her. So I think I broke a lot of fantasies when I said that.
So crazy.
Imagine being idolized on 4chan. Ew. No, thank
Oh,
you.
no, ma'am. Mm-mm.
Absolutely not.
Tabby was another one. She was a beautiful scene queen with her hair. Oh my God. But she was a real scene queen. And they were like competing on 4chan to be the queen of B. Not by their choice. The 4chaners chose that for them.
But forgive me, and maybe because it's 4chan I shouldn't even ask, but what does the queen of B mean? Like, what does it stand for?
I don't know. It's just like everybody finds her attractive, and she's
like the queen bee, kind of.
Yeah, like I don't like she. It didn't even mean anything. It was just like she, like, everybody was like, they idolized her. She was like the dream girl for the 4chaners.
Okay.
4chan was like, I will say, like, it really played into the scene era too, because it was so like, and there was a lot of blogs that I think kind of copied 4chan format, but like people were like going in. I found a lot of information off of there. Like, they would like get all of the information of a scene queen and make blog posts about it. And I think a lot of scene queens went on 4chan, and that's how they got a lot of information. So it was a weird place on the internet, but it was like a crossover area.
A weird place to exchange very specific niche information. That actually kind of ties into a question I had for you. So how do you possibly stay up to date with all this? Because like, I know for us, we've done things where we've called back to old memories we had and things like that from the scene and also from the pop world. And like, usually it's just a combination of like having a memory, like a core memory locked away, and then going to do research on it to then make sure it's accurate. Do you do something like that? Or is it just you're pulling it out from the archives?
Yeah, no, I do that. I'll remember like one thing, and then I'll go back, and then I don't like to do surface level research. I like to get like real into it, where I'm like going on the Wayback Machine and reading the old posts, like websites that were taken down. But like I remember it. Like, I remember where to find the information, but then I get the information from there. And then the other thing is I interview people. Like, that was a big thing. I've been sort of slacking on the TikTok world, but like a big part of it was like I was going direct to the source, getting the information, and then doing the research on it type thing.
Okay. So you're
that's
like,
amazing. I didn't know that.
You're going beyond. You're doing journalism.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I do.
Scene
Hey,
journalism.
in this industry, it's all about phrasing, right? It's all about phrasing and perspective. So, like, make it happen.
I'm an emo journalist, historian.
Yeah.
Historian, savant, if you will.
Ooh, savant. The emo savant.
I love that. Look, brand new. If you need to make a new social media or a side account, bam, right there.
The emo savant.
Savant.
I have another question. Were you ever victim to an Alex Evans catfish?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I knew. Oh, dude, I used to create Alex Evans accounts. And I want to clarify. Well, I need to clarify something. Like, I didn't do it to random people. So, like, when I was in high school, unfortunately, I'm just going to admit this. So, I was on MySpace and I had this really intricate thing where me and a couple of friends found a bunch of scene people that were friends with each other, took all of their images and made all of these accounts and had them all friends with each other. So, they had like tagged photos with each other and they would like comment on each other's stuff. And the only time that they would get pulled out is if we wanted information. So, the junior year, I was going to go to prom with this guy. He asked me to prom. And then I had to do the test to see if he would cheat on me. And he did. He asked the girl that I was pretending to be, the scene queen girl, he asked her to prom. So he cheated on me with myself, with my fake account. So it was like it was like I'd only pull him out if I needed to get information. Like, I was a kid.
That is, first off, so resourceful.
Very
As a kid.
resourceful.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know.
Okay, so that's
my
even better.
gosh.
So you weren't a victim to the catfish, you were the catfish.
Yeah, but like I wasn't catfishing like genuine people, but yes, yeah. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
But
we all
you
partook.
were using it to call out the cheating and the
Yes.
nonsense.
I
I
caught
support that.
Yes, it was very beneficial at the time. You know, it was just a tool. That's all.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this question we've kind of touched on like little pieces of it here with 4chan and Reddit and comment sections and stuff. So, given the content that you make, do you consider yourself what one might call a stan?
Oh yeah, I'm obsessed. I am like I guess you could say stan. I am the biggest fan of like emo MySpace stuff. That's why I talk about it so much. Like,
Got you. My second half of the question was like if you go out to like Reddit threads or YouTube comment sections from like related content and kind of dig through it, or if you just avoid it altogether.
oh yeah, oh completely. They are amazing tools because people have so much information. People really dig stuff up.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, the
noticing
internet
like
is forever.
I feel like maybe it was because at the time, a lot of the audience or target audience was young people, teenagers especially. And so, like, when you're a teenager, you just live for the drama. At least I did. I still do. But I don't know. Like, I remember all of the, like, stupid fights my best friends and I got in high school over a boy or over something completely nonsensical. And it makes sense why there was so much drama in the scene culture and in the scene world. But yeah, no, I there's just so much content, like you said, so you have a tendency to dive into it and dig through it.
Well, so the scene world itself was so small, and all of these like they were like creators, but they weren't really famous. Like from what I've learned from talking to them is like nobody was getting paid. An influencer nowadays makes so much money, even on TikTok. Like I see good money when I make TikToks. Okay, they weren't making anything. They were like just high school or like not dropouts or something like that, and they were like touring with bands and like they were just like doing whatever they could, barely like having enough money for food. Like that was like their thing back then. And it was such a small world that like everybody knew everybody. Everybody connected to Jeffree Star. Everybody connected to the members of My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, like the whole thing. Like they all intertwined Disney, and it was such a small community of people that like it's just drama. They're all dating each other. They're all getting into fights with each other, and then you have the like poser. You know how everybody was like, "You're a poser. You're a prep." Like you have that mentality, and it's so like they're calling each other out and being like, "You're copying me, you're a poser." Like it was just the stupidest stuff. And I also think everybody was under the influence. I think that was a big thing. Like nobody was sober.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I
100%.
feel like that's a given after learning all that we've learned, especially from the Disney kids recently. So, yeah, doesn't seem like there was a lot of sobriety happening.
Yeah.
What is a really famous story that a lot of people get wrong?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess we can go back to the the Brendon Urie story. I mean, like, you touched on it a little bit, but I guess what I can kind of go back with that is everybody thinks that Brendon Urie um has done all of these bad things, and that's why, like, the band broke up, and that's why Ryan Ross was against that. And, like, the big thing is that that's not really what happened. Like, they broke up because they kind of both wanted to go their own ways, but there was this stalker fan who ended up pretending to be Brendon Urie and talked to Ryan Ross and, like, catfished him for, like, I don't know, like, half of a year. She was she was, like, a big fan. Like, she was running, like, all of the boards at the time. Like, she ran all these really big Panic at the Disco accounts. So she had all of the information. She kinda did what I did, where she got all of these pictures and made it seem real. I guess what she did was she, like, was friends with a family member and then was able to access, like, all of the family members on Facebook. So she's grabbing, like, pictures and information to, like, see really believable. So then Ryan Ross figured it out, and then it made it really awkward, and Brendon Urie and Ryan Ross don't talk anymore. So it was actually a fan who, like, messed the whole thing up. It wasn't that Brendon Urie just, like, got too greedy and famous. And then if you kind of follow it, like, all of his band members, like, had drug addiction. That's why they left. Like, there was all kinds, like, it wasn't just him, you know? So I don't know. I think that's a big one.
Well, I think you did a TikTok about Bob, what's his last name?
Grier.
And I wasn't going to touch on it, but because we're here. We're here already. We're here already. But, you know, how am I supposed to go around with this? I personally, like, I kind of understand, given the situation you just talked about with Brendon Urie, like, if a creepy fan made up this whole world and had me convinced I was talking to someone who I actually knew and then come to find out, I would totally be, like, put off from any sort of reconciliation. So I kind of understand it. You know what I mean? Like, that's super weird.
Ryan Ross was also really weird about it, because Ryan Ross was, like, cutting himself and posting pictures of his, like, bleeding cuts all over Instagram and stuff like that. Like, he was doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and people act like he's, like, this innocent poor guy. And then people have these theories that, because they used to make out, like, all the time, like, at concerts, and people were like, Brendon was making out with Ryan Ross against his will. And, like, no, that's just what emo boys did at the time. They all made out with each other. It was a thing. That's what the fans wanted.
That's why we loved it.
And, like, Imperium and I, like, not recently, but last season, we talked about Mikey Way and who was it,
Pete Wentz.
Pete Key, which I, like, as a queer person who enjoyed this kind of media, the fact that I did not know this detail actually really bothered me. And it was, like, a whole new thing. I was like, what? That's crazy. But, like, it going back to the I forget his last name. I say it wrong. Bob
Grier. All right, we can't. There's two subjects. There's one that's super, like, deep, and there's one that's funny. But yeah, let's go to Bob. Do you want me?
Well, you can.
Yeah,
but I wanted to kind of pull, like, what you said in that TikTok, because you had responded to a kind of rude comment, and you were basically saying, like, the man's dead, and you were still trying to cancel him. And I think it's so interesting that there's this kind of grouping of music that I call cursed music, where it's songs that you love, you grew up with, but because the artist or someone related to the artist has done something horrible and they've been canceled, you're not allowed to like it anymore. Mm-hmm. Do you encounter that a lot on TikTok and in these kind of places?
Yeah, you have to, like, separate the art from the artist. But, like, okay, the reason I was like, do you want me to bring it up? Because talking about the Bob thing is so hard, because people are very, like, weird about it. And what I would say is, like, this is a poor guy who had, like, he passed away recently. He had a serious addiction. He had serious mental health. He had bipolar, and he was untreated. And, like, if his worst offense was going on Twitter and saying a bunch of racist stuff, like, nobody likes that he did that. But, like, he didn't deserve to die. But, like, the weirdest thing about, like, you know what I mean? They're two separate things. It's like, he did this terrible thing, but, like, also he's this guy with this family that like didn't want him to pass away. Like he has all of these issues. Like, and I think if you really think about it, the reason a lot of us listen to this music is because we're all going through something. Like we all have mental health. People have addiction. Like people make mistakes. People say stupid things when they're under the influence. Like I've done it. You know what I mean? Luckily not on Twitter. Yeah. But like, and that's the thing is like people bring back things that people do and they say that that's justification for the guy to pass away. And it's like, I don't know. That's what really bothered me. And that actually dissuaded me. I haven't made many TikToks after that because I was like, this fan base is so crazy that they're saying that he deserves to be dead. And
that's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
Like you can like not like someone because of something they've done or said or some value they stand for that you don't agree with. But like ultimately at the end of the day, they are a human person. And I also think that in today's world, especially online, we cancel people for saying an inappropriate thing or doing an inappropriate thing. But more often than not, it's usually something that they've said because of the influence they have. Like consider what your audience thinks, blah, 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 blah. And in reality, like, you know, part of this cursed music, a Canadian band that I used to really love, Headley, has been fully canceled. It's part of cursed music because of some very inappropriate things that happen. And I don't support any of those things. But like every once in a while, one of their songs comes on and I just can't help myself. Well, and I think that's like what you're talking about, separating the art from the artist a little bit.
With some of them, I can definitely understand. And at least with Headley, he did get convicted, right?
Yeah,
like
and
jail.
He did jail. I think he's still in jail. But yeah,
good,
like
well,
he's serving time for and being punished for it, right? And it's unfortunate for the other band members because they didn't do anything wrong. So why should their art be canceled all of a sudden? But at the same time, the various issues impact a lot of different people. And so I totally understand where somebody's coming from when they say like, no, I don't listen to that band anymore because of XYZ. So it's a weird line to walk, right?
Well, it's hard, especially in this scene too, because I'm trying to put this eloquently.
Yeah. Editing is our friend, so don't worry if anything's too off base, we'll just cut it.
I really like hearing kind of outside perspective of this because a lot of the time when you come to this argument of like art versus the artist, there's easier ones to kind of categorize. Like, yeah, absolutely, we can still listen to them, whatever. And then there's other ones where you're like a little gray area because it's bad. With Headley, he got convicted. With someone like Jesse Lacey of Brand New, he didn't get convicted. So it's like, what is, if not cancel culture, like what is the punishment that fits the crime for these musical artists that had such a huge impact? And like the stuff with All Time Low as well. They're still getting booked headlining all of these festivals. And a lot of these accusations, you know, are coming back false. But is that because now they have enough money to, you know, this is all allegedly in speculation and don't sue me. But like, it's just, it's an interesting conversation to kind of have, like, how do you separate the love that you have for this music to this shitty person that made it?
Right, but you know what else too? The music we're listening to, if you listen to the lyrics of Brand New, like all of the lyrics are like, I don't know what's going to happen if I get you alone tonight. I don't know what I'm going to do to you. Like those are all the lyrics. And so like we were all listening to it and relating to it. And so it's just like, how do you cancel after that? Because we kind of knew what was going on. Obviously we didn't know what was going on, but like, I just feel like I don't want to listen to art by somebody that is like super happy. Now, I don't want to listen to art by people who do criminal activity. Don't get me wrong, but like there's like you know, you look at this scene and it's like all these people are sad. They have mental health. They have untreated mental health. They have significant substance use, whether it's drinking, you know, using stuff like that's such a big thing. And like people make mistakes and do really bad things. But out of these things, like out of these tragedies and these depressions and terrible times comes this beautiful art. I think a lot of people who like physically drew art were crazy, like cut their ears off, you know, like I think a lot of them were Van Gogh, like terrible people, like did really bad things. I mean, all of the classic rock stuff that we listen on the radio that our parents listened to, they were all like,
they're all on ecstasy and speed and everything else.
On their wife, like Ollie Osbourne bit a head, like a bat's head off. Like I just think like the thing is we can't hold these people to an expectation of like they're good people, especially when you listen to their music and their music is all about I want to die, I hate my life. I just we can't. But the thing is like we don't want our artists to do that, but like we can't control them. It's a weird thing. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's a hard thing. I just listen to music because I like the music and I relate to it. I don't even,
Well, and I think, and you touched on this, I think a big part of maybe why so many people did connect to these artists was because, not that there weren't other artists writing introspective or very personal music, but part of, especially the emo scene, was, being a little bit raw and being a little more exposed to your audience and being more personal with your lyrics, which allowed the audience to connect a bit better. And so now, 25 years into the future, 15 years into the future, X artist has done something wrong, but you still have that connection to that song back when you were 17 years old. And like getting rid of that is not as easy as just deciding you're over it, So it's a weird space to be in. I completely agree.
Like maybe we don't support them creating new music, but that doesn't mean we don't have to like the songs we used to like. Like you can't just take that out of your head. So, I mean, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, and also like if somebody does something wrong, like they're going to get it. Like if something terrible happens, like it's going to be all over the news and everybody's going to hate that person. Like they're going to get that. Like, I don't know that we need to do anything to personally punish them. They're going to get the repercussions of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it definitely feels like the online form of cancel culture definitely feels like the masses deciding they want to punish someone, when in reality, life's probably already punishing them enough as it is.
It's so weird too, because a lot of sorry.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, I think that people can do bad things and then they can become better people and fix that too. Like I think you can come back from doing a bad thing. That doesn't make you a bad person. But anyways, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say how polarizing some people can be with problematic people. And the example that comes to mind immediately is Ronnie Radke. Of how like his online presence, though he has a certain way that he goes about things, there are still like die-hard Ronnie fans. He's like, to me, he's the encapsulation of like worst thing ever. The guy that you hate made a great point or something.
I love him. I love him on. Do you know when he first got TikTok, he followed 5 people. One of them was me. I was like one of the first people he followed because I made videos about him. You know what I mean? Like if I talk about somebody, they'll Google themselves and they'll find it. So anyways, I think I don't know if he still follows me. He probably doesn't. But I think he's so funny because like, well, he's an idiot and like he does really terrible things. Don't get me wrong. But like he's so real and he's just so like when people constantly are trying to bring him down, so he just like makes a video making fun of them at that point because it's so unserious. Like people are accusing him of crimes that he didn't commit. Like, but no, I mean he's not always a great person. He does some really stupid stuff, but it's quite entertaining.
The unfilteredness about him is, I don't want to say the word refreshing, but it is very entertaining.
I quite like him, I'm not gonna lie. And I like his music got a little cringe lately, but like I love Escape the Fate. Like I love some Falling in Reverse stuff. Like but that's the thing.
Of course.
Like, that's like, what did he really do that was that bad? Like he just like talks smack on the internet. You know what I mean? Like he's not like out there doing like criminal terrible, I guess he did do criminal offenses, but like he's, you know what I mean? He's not like actively continuously doing terrible things.
Yeah, that's so funny. He followed you? What like time frame was that?
Oh my god. Well, whenever he first got to TikTok, and I don't know because the last 5 years just went like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So your TikTok account has a lot of followers and a lot of likes. So like good for you. Congrats. I'm just curious, like has gaining any sort of following changed the way that you approach like what topic you're going to talk about, or like what kind of videos to make? Or is it mostly you just like had that thought and then went and did some research on it and then said, guess what?
Well, I know the video, like I know the subjects that get a lot of views. So like once a year, I'll make a video on like Kiki Cannibal, Brendon, Urie, like you know what I mean. Like there are things I've already touched on, and like I don't necessarily want to talk about again, but it's gonna get people to see my content, so then I can make the other stuff. And like I love it when people like will comment and they'll be like, "Hey, did you hear about this?" And then I'll do the research and then I'll make a video on it. So I guess yeah.
Okay.
I
So
learn.
you play the algorithm.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I used to actually like I had a whole format, and it'd be like you start off with something like, "Oh my god, this person did this," and then you get into it type thing. Like it was like a very formatted, structured thing I kind of got away from. But if you do that, people will continue watching. So yeah.
That's a good hook advice.
Yeah, we have yet to break through the glass ceiling. Most of our episodes have less than 100 listeners, but at the same time, we love each and every single one of them. And if they're listening right now, they should probably subscribe. Just saying.
Yes.
But I mean, like, everybody starts from somewhere. I'm not worried about views or stuff right now, especially content like this, because it's kind of evergreen. I always find it harder with short form content. But luckily with short form content, you can repost it and people have forgotten about it.
True.
They do.
Are you going to any festivals or music events this year?
I have tickets to go see My Chemical Romance with Trevor Deely.
Yay, we love Trevor.
Trevor's so nice.
Podcast, right? I think I saw that.
Yeah. He was a guest last season. It was really good, actually. I think, was he the finale?
Probably, yeah. I saw him post like an 8-minute video, and I was like, "Bro, come on the pod, talk more about it." Like, I need all the deeds.
Trevor Deely, Gerard Way. Oh my god, that he blew up in 2 seconds because it's awesome, but also he looks identical to Gerard Way. Like a lot of people try to look like Gerard. He just like looks like Gerard naturally.
Yes. While we were talking to him, I had to keep like reminding myself, like, he's not Gerard Way. He's not. Because then we were looking at photos and stuff, and he was doing like, I guess, almost like a cosplay, for lack of a better term.
He does that, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, work, it was fierce.
Oh, he plays into it. He does a great job. Yeah, we love him. He honestly doing amazing stuff. Like, actually, there's a whole group of us, like My Chemical Romance creators, that he basically like started the whole thing. We're putting on like a My Chemical Romance convention. So that's like in the very beginning stages. But yeah, like he's like the whole vision around it. He's doing so much work for it. It's gonna be
okay. Keep us posted, and if you like travel or like want to bring it to Toronto, like please let me know.
Oh my god. Well, it's gonna start off small. Like we're just gonna do one. Like we're thinking like
of course, yeah.
But it's
gonna gain traction.
I think so. I think it's gonna be so sick. And all the creators that are involved, like all the big My Chemical Romance creators, like Franny and stuff like that, like they're all part of it. So there's a lot of good people involved.
Oh, that's exciting.
Okay, that's so exciting. Yeah, please like give us details whenever you have them. And if it's close to where I can get to, I would love to fucking come.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely 100%, yeah.
I forgot to ask at the beginning, but like where, if you don't mind sharing, where are you based?
I live in Maine.
Maine? Okay. That's like actually pretty close to us.
Oh, really? Toronto is where you guys are from?
Yeah, Toronto.
Yeah, okay.
So
not super far, yeah.
You guys are because Pennsylvania is right across the lake, and then it's Maine right after, right?
Right. There's Vermont, New Hampshire, then there's Maine. It's all small. It's not super far. Yeah.
I want to know if you have anything besides the My Chemical Romance convention that you are working on or that you'd like to promote or something that you're excited about.
What are you up to? What are you doing? Tell us. Tell the people.
I'm actually not. That's all I'm doing. I've been, like I said, like I've sort of taken a little bit of a hiatus. I want to get back into the TikTok thing. I got so dissuaded because of the Bob Breyer thing and then TikTok going down. But
right.
We're going to be back. We're going to. And you know what? Before I forget it, going back to the Mikey thing, I hate to ruin this for you guys, but I got confirmation from people who know them personally. Mikey was not real. Like Mikey Way and Pete Key. I'm saying it wrong. Key thing was not real, and unfortunately, they knew that everybody was. They knew that everyone was in. So they were playing into it. Hey, Chris was involved with that whole thing, and they continuously like play into it, but unfortunately, it's not real.
That's okay. I read the one of the emo books, Where Are Your Boys Tonight? And Gabe Saporta of Cobra Starship basically didn't say the same thing, but was like alluding to like, yeah, like none of us were actually doing this. We just did it because we liked our guys and liked attention.
Yes.
Because homoeroticism brings the views.
It was.
It's
oh my
true.
God. It was the culture. Yeah. They were all, oh my God, Gerard Way and Burt McCracken. Yeah, we were obsessed. I don't know what happened. That one could have been real. There were like a lot of things involved.
Oh,
but
Burt McCracken. Actually, Imperium just hung out with Burt McCracken.
I mean, hung out with is not exactly what
You
it was. We were in the
spoke to
same
him?
room. We did, yeah.
okay,
I
you're
did speak to him.
basically like twin flames at that point. Are you kidding?
Well, and honestly, I will bring it up again because like I'm forced to. You guys are twisting my arm. But when I crowd surfed on the cruise and I waved at him, he gave me the wave, and we were like, "Yeah, we're best friends."
Yes, he knows exactly who you are. I saw them twice like past year. I love the Used. And
I'm a converted Used fan now. I didn't used to really be a Used fan, but now I'm in. I'm in the cult of the Used. Absolutely.
Dude, that girl that I told you about that we got into whole drama stuff. It's so funny because she dated Burt McCracken for a long time, quite publicly, and she like personally told me all this tea between the two of them, which was really cool. Like I learned so much information about him. It's funny that she like I'm not gonna spread it, but like she like and she publicly dated him, but like yeah.
Can you tell us after the pod?
Yeah, I could.
Tell us after. We won't tell us whole.
We won't. We'll sign an NDA. It's fine.
But on that note, we do really appreciate you taking the time to come chat with us. It's been really great getting to know you. And also, like, now I can, like, follow you on TikTok and keep up to date with all the stuff.
It's just so much fun. Thank you guys for having me. I love talking about
Of course. I have put my wig back on. I am civilized, I'm sat, I'm here. But our conversation with Jess was amazing, just as I thought it would be. I am personally so excited for a My Chemical Romance convention. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, she was really, really nice and really funny too, honestly. It was super cool getting to like hear all the background tea. But yeah, she was super fun to talk to, and I really enjoyed our conversation.
If you like this episode, do us a favor and please like, subscribe, and if you want extra bonus points, rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We are trying so hard to grow our YouTube channel and our Instagram and TikTok following, so if you wanted to take a second and follow us on there too, you would be in our good books.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye.